That way, when we debut for the one company, everyone knows you as that one gimmick, but you're supposed to be debuting as their gimmick. So what's the best way to get your character their gimmick? Even if you're talking the way they want you to talk, and you're not talking your normal way, which is look the same.
I kind of had a similar thing because when I first started wrestling, I was like, what do I call myself? And then like me and Al went to like K&H to get gear. I was like, oh, well, there's some zebra pants. I got a singlet. I'll be the zebra kid. Oh, that's witty. So I was like the zebra kid, and then I was like Brian St. John. I don't know why. And I went to work for Sabu, and they're like, nah, I don't like that Brian St. to be Brian Rollins. Okay, you're Sabu, I would think it just depends. I mean, you can still be the same gimmick, different territories, Bad News Brown was also Bad News Allen, from territory to territory. If you have to do it, just do it. But, just be memorable enough, relatable enough, we'll pass that and just go, oh, that guy's good.
Well, it's not negative against the gimmick. It's like you want to do both gimmicks because you like both gimmicks.
Oh, they're two separate gimmicks, but...
Two separate gimmicks.
Oh, I thought you meant
just want to
let's say...
establish both of them so when the new gimmick, fans aren't like calling your normal name that you work elsewhere.
Yeah, that's kind of a tough one. You get married to one gimmick, like when Bray Wyatt debuted, they were chanting Husky Harris at him. It was kind of weird. But then he got the new gimmick over so much that people forgot about Husky Harris. Just stay true to the gimmick, man. Any opportunity to work on the show is an opportunity. Just do it 1,000%. Just figure out, like I said, know your audience, know your promoter. If you're going to WWE, know your agent. Because your agent is the one who, you live and die by that. So just know the style, stay true to the style, be coachable. So, it might be weird, it might be uncomfortable, but it's going to be a chapter in your book. You go, oh, back in the day. And you never know, one gimmick might take off and the other one might. So do both. It gives you an option to succeed or fail in either one. And which one takes over the most, there's a fork in the road. Take the one that's working, not the one with the road closed sign. So.
I was quintessential stud muffin most of the time, so my gimmick didn't vary. I didn't play two characters at the same time on the same TV or in two different territories or anything like that. George Steele led two different lives, right? George Steele would be a teacher, football coach for 9 months out of the year, and then during the summer he would go out and wrestle and be George Animal Steele. That was probably tough. Again, with people having to live up to being, who they were on TV in real life. So it's living two different lives, every year, just seasonal. So that's got to be different. I love being White Kamala Y2K. Being White Kamala was fun. It was great to, have an homage for somebody who I loved to watch on TV growing up as a kid. But I'd love to get an opportunity. I think at heart I would love to do improv if I had the time or the opportunity. I do background acting, I do extra work. I love doing stuff like that, playing a different character, or when you're an extra, you're not really supposed to be playing a character kind of to an extent. You're supposed to just be in the background and just be somebody, but it's usually somebody slightly other than yourself. Stuff like that's fun to do, acting like that. I lived in Nashville for 4 months. I did an indie show for Burt Prentice at the fairgrounds. And I called myself Joey Jaguar, which is who I was before I went to ECW as a timekeeper announcer, and it was just Joel Gertner. But in my teens, like from 16 to 20, I was Joey Jaguar, punk kid, the silver spoon, long, the time-tested gimmick that's been in every territory. But in Nashville, I loved being Joey Jaguar. What I did with it was I became a raver, because that was big at the time. So I had like a lollipop in my mouth, I had like caffeine cargo pants, I had this talking tigger that I would pull a string on in the back and it would give me like, he would be my manager while I was managing. It was the most awful, I just said to myself, it's the Nashville Fairgrounds and it's a one shot and it's not hurting anybody, it's not taking any money out of anybody's pocket, and I could just as well be Joe Gertner. I don't know if I was living out there at the time, I probably got booked last minute, I probably wasn't on the flyer as quintessential stuff of him, so I was like, you know what, let's see if people leave it, just for, shits and giggles, so yeah, it's always fun to be able to play somebody else, but as far as juggling, I wish maybe I would have had more of that chance, but I didn't.
How are we on time? Well, 5 minutes? Okay. Other question?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for your time today, gentlemen. I just want to ask about the importance of social media, especially with character development. Where do you think wrestlers should draw the line when it comes to their social media? And second part of that, 20 years ago, if you had these same platforms, what would you guys do with these platforms?
Yeah, thank God there wasn't social media back then, ECW days. We'd be under the prison. Social media, you know who's perfect at social media? Impact Wrestling's Rosemary, because she has the Rosemary Twitter, and then she has her own whatever, I forget, I'm blanking her name before she was Rosemary. But she'll do a tweet as Rosemary, and then she'll do a tweet on a regular thing, and then her Rosemary Twitter will interact with her, be a troll to her own personal Twitter page. So there's a fine line between shoot and work. You know what I'm saying? People want to follow you, like be your own reality show. Whatever I'm doing, I'm trying to take photos, blah, 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 I'm doing this, blah, 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 blah. Just be active, just let people know the struggle. I mean, they don't have to know every single detail. If you got a character that's a rich duty guy, I worked down at McDonald's today, For the best line is like, somebody said, for a long time, Undertaker didn't have a Twitter, and he was like, nobody wants to see the Undertaker going to Chick-fil-A, So he never had a Twitter, and they just recently got one. So, I mean, with social media, always be like your own reality show. Let people, draw people into a point, not to where it gets stalkerish, but also in a way, be a friend of the promoter and help promote what you're doing. If you don't promote yourself, why should anybody else? You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Always promote. People get tired of it, let them unfollow you, and then you'll get new followers. But always, I'll live tweet whatever's going on in the news, try to be funny, be witty, and I get more followers, and those more followers see what I'm doing with pro wrestling tees and the video game I'm about to do and stuff like that. So be your own reality show. Let them in to a point, but make it be a fun follow,
Yeah. No, that's a great point. I was thinking of it more personally, your own gimmick, character development, that kind of thing. But Meanie's right, though. Be a friend to the promoter and help get the show over and the product and all the people you're working with. The same way in the ring you're helping the other guy get over and look good is the same way on social media. It's not all about you. It's about action, reaction, and what your reaction is to what your, the person that your adversary. Social media, yeah, be a fun follow. Govern yourself accordingly. If the example right now is WWE, then do as they do to an extent. I mean, if you want to be a little bit more experimental because you're on the indies, and if you feel that there's something you can get away with that within reason that maybe you might not see on WWE social media, unfortunately these days, opportunity like that is harder and harder to come by because they really have the market cornered and they're doing a great job on their own social media testing the boundaries. But govern yourself accordingly, do what they do, and then even protocol-wise too. I don't know if they're still really sticking, stickler to this, But at one point a couple of years ago, I'm pretty sure it was implemented that there were going to be no tweets by anybody after 12 midnight. If it wasn't worth tweeting before midnight, then it's not worth tweeting after midnight. And, you know, again, their social media is evolving, and I don't know if they still keep true to that, but it's a decent enough idea. I probably violate it by an hour or two every night, so I'm a hypocrite, but yeah, stuff like that. Are we doing another question?
We have one more question.
I just want to get something in real quick,
Please.
and I'll just put it out there what it is, and then after the question, maybe I won't do it right now, but real quick, I do a seminar as regularly as I can called Everything But the Wrestling, and it's from a non-wrestling personalities perspective, so it's kind of stuff like this, character development, psychology, and it's usually whatever I was thinking of that week or that month that I put in my notepad. So I have some notes, real quick, stuff that we didn't get to that I want to share with you guys. Last night I worked the Casino Royale show, also was here, and got there kind of late, and didn't have an opportunity to kind of set up shop and have an opportunity for people to be able to buy t-shirts. I envision myself as a bit of a penny ante philanthropist, and over the course of a given calendar year, I like to give a couple of $100 or whatever I have to St. Jude Children's Hospital. And now that I'm a lifetime member here, and because I'm here today, I would like in 2019 to give as many $100 as possible to Cauliflower Alley Club for what they do. So after the seminar, I'm gonna set up shop. If you don't have the $20 or the $25, that's okay. But if you like the shirt or would want one to support your cause, keep it in mind and get it, because we're in Vegas. We're halfway through the, you know, if you've spent the money, I don't want anything you don't have on you, but just keep it in mind. Get in touch with me and that kind of thing. So after the next question, I'd love to just share the stuff with the notepad, and if anybody wants to come look at a shirt, you know, please feel free.
Please do, yeah. Final question.
What's one of the more difficult parts of developing a character that gets overlooked by fans?
I'm sorry, I'm hard to hear.
Difficult part of developing a character that gets overlooked by fans.
Just subtle nuances to your character. Maybe, you know, just finding something that sticks. You know, if you see a guy on TV, it gets to the point where like, people, you know, right, like, you know, ECW was like, you know, the Rocky Horror Picture Show. People, you know, related to certain things, and they would chant along and stuff like that. Find something that, you know, throw something against the wall, see if it sticks. Doesn't stick, don't do it again, you know? Or try it differently, in a different way. You know, just always try to find things to stick to it, and once you save it, you know, once you get over, once the crowd reacts, keep it, put it in your back pocket, then find something else, and then hopefully, you know, down the road you got several things people can identify with you. You know, whatever you think of Randy Savage, think of glasses, think of the finger point. What can you do that people, when you do it, people react? You know, I can just do a simple, you know, people, you know, just all my stuff, all my, you know, mannerisms. You know, I tell everybody this: if you're going to get your character over, practice promos. Whether it's get your cell phone out, do a promo into that, do a promo into the mirror, all that stuff. Even when I was a kid, I wasn't even in the wrestling business. I would do promos in the mirror, and my grandma thought I was talking to myself. She thought I was nuts. But practicing facials and mannerisms, and have a cadence to what you want to say, and you know, my favorite comedian of all time was George Carlin. Me. Yeah. I borrowed so much from him as far as cadence and have a way of speaking, things that people can relate to, and, you know, just, I feel bad because it's so short a time. But find me afterwards, we'll talk about it too as well. So it's little things, you know, like that.
Yeah, actually, something that's in my notepad is good for that. It's the best thing. But if I gave you a piece of paper right now, right, let's pretend, and I asked you to sum up, completely encapsulate your character, right, either your wrestling character or you as a person, and I asked you to pick 5 adjectives to describe you, what would your response be? Because my take on that is, if your response would be to kind of sit and one by one and towards the end, you know, they're coming up slower, come up with just the 5 adjectives, and exactly 5 adjectives and no more and no less, because that's what I happen to ask for. If that's who your character is, just 5 adjectives, or more importantly, if a fan were to ever ask you a question like that at a panel or anything like that, if your character is that limited, then either it's the wrong character for you or you're coming at it the wrong way. The best response to coming up with the 5 adjectives for your character would be 5 is too few, that's impossible. If a fan told you instead, I like wrestling, it's simple. There are good guys, there are bad guys. So I just want you to boil your character down to its simplest form. I want you to tell me in 10 words or less. And if you see where I'm going, it's the same thing. And as politely and as humbly as possible, you should tell the fan that if that's what they want, something that's 10 words or less simple, that your character definitely, and pro wrestling perhaps, is not for them. Who wants easy to define? Who wants simple, right? You've got people spending $1.2 billion around the world in one weekend to see the Avengers. And how much more simple could it get than people being named by what their costume looks like, right? Like Captain America, Iron Man, right? That's not 10 words or less, that's 2 words or less. But come to live in their shoes for a couple hours and watch Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. And Robert Downey Jr. isn't just gonna give you, a portrait on the wall. He's not just gonna give you, non-moving wallpaper. It's gonna be constant flux and constant evolution. And when you go to see a movie or wrestling, it's not because you want to see that guy that's like your friend or that guy that you know him from the gas station, and it's not comfort food. It's you want to be taken out of your comfort zone and you want to see stuff that's larger than life. So show a wide range. If you're a non-wrestling personality like me, and you don't get to paint the picture with your physicality, then you're not getting to what you're taught in wrestling school, play to the back row. But what you do need to do is show a wide range of emotion. You hear about bipolar tendencies, or kind of a bipolar. When you're doing this, you're omnipolar. You are the spectrum. You're the whole thing. So psychologically playing to and playing upon everything that everybody in the crowd might want to see, so that you are different things to different people, to all of the masters in the crowd that you serve. But you have to be omnipolar and be a person of 1,000 faces and 1,000 reactions. You have to show every emotion, and you have to remember, the camera is capturing you at 30 frames per second. So if you don't know which camera's on you, and they're all on you, I mean, one of them's hot at the time, but in the truck, they can see you 5 different ways, and they can always take whichever one looks best at that moment. Remember that that's grabbing you at 30 frames a second. So intensity doesn't just come from thinking an intense thought like a Randy Savage. Let's say you want to emulate him, and you want to just kind of have an intense physicality and really look into something. As you do it, you have to do it physically in a manner where everything you're doing, for every second that you would spend doing something in real life, you have to do it 30 times in that second, because you never know when that one screenshot, when that one still frame, you never know when that's the magic one that's going to become your wallpaper on the Tron, or your coming up next, so-and-so versus so-and-so. Because your life, as far as your wrestling career, is being captured not in hours or minutes, but in seconds and in frames. So that's the everything but the wrestling stuff that I came up with that I wanted to share, and hopefully some of that answers your question.
Ladies and gentlemen, I can't thank you enough for joining us. Thank you so much for donating your time. This has been the Character Development Seminar, part of the Learning Series at CAC 2019. The Blue Meanie, the quintessential stud muffin, Joel Gertner. I've been your host.